Only when I traveled twice to Iraq in 2003 to cover stories of Christians in the military did I finally get a glimpse of what it means to be in the military, what it means for the families and spouses back home. I interviewed both service members and their families and wrote stories about how families can stay connected, how God can give hope in stressful times, and how service members can keep their faith strong. I shared with my readers the ups and downs of deployment and the difficult challenges faced by military wives when they had to watch their husbands leave to fight a war. I admired the wives' quiet strength, their resilience, and their commitment to their husbands and their families through extremely tough circumstances. When we got word about our own deployment, I wondered if I could be like those wives I'd gotten to know. At the time, it felt like I was about to play dress-up, wearing a costume that wasn't made for me. But now, 15 months later, I definitely felt like a military wife. I knew what it was like to carry my cell phone with me everywhere, including to bed. I watched the news and wondered if my husband was in the area where they were reporting violence. I knew the pain of sitting by myself at church and feeling completely alone in a room filled with people. I sometimes cried when I saw a soldier in uniform. I knew what it was like to force myself to answer with a pleasant, "I'm good," when someone asked me how I was doing, knowing they didn't want to hear how I really felt. But sitting on the couch that day, worn out, spent, and ready to quit, with no clear idea how I could do that, I came to another realization, that the strength I'd run on for so long was only my own, and that already 7 months into the deployment, I was missing what God was trying to teach me, that my strength had absolutely nothing to do with it. This was a hard truth to swallow. I'd read everything I could get my hands on about the proverbial job description of a military spouse, and of all the requirements that people talked about, strength was the biggest. Strength was the most important. If you didn't have it, you wouldn't survive. You had to be strong for your husband. You had to be strong for your kids. You had to be strong when you least expected it, when well-meaning friends made comments that made you want to wilt, when strangers told you exactly what they thought about the war your husband was fighting, when you saw couples out walking hand in hand. You had to be strong when the car broke down and your child got sick and the garage door wouldn't open and the dog threw up on your already not-so-clean carpet. You had to be strong for yourself, because there was no one else who would be. I had thrown my military wife dress-up clothes on with such focus and determination that I hadn't put on the most important garment, my faith. Instead of wearing my faith in God as my favorite piece and depending on it each day, I had treated it like an accessory I sometimes picked up and often put down, counting on my own confidence, my own determination, and my own stick-to-itiveness to get me through. I was making it, but sometimes barely. I was determined, but there were major struggles. I was strong, but my strength was coming from one very weak source: me. 2 common misperceptions. As military wives, we pride ourselves on making do, hanging tough, keeping it together. And when things don't go so well, we just bear down harder, work longer, and make it happen, right? When you find yourself in a difficult situation or challenge, maybe your husband is out of town and you're dealing with sick kids and